I think it's significant that the Europeans chose to build the town of Wollongong around Wollongong Harbour area, because if you look at the landscape, at the geography there, you'll see that it's a natural cove. It had a creek coming in on the west. You had freshwater lagoons to the south. You had natural shelter provided by the headland at Wollongong Harbour. So this would have been a natural place where Aboriginal people would have both lived but also gathered for ceremony.
An Aboriginal midden found in the area shows evidence of use of thousands of years. It was for the same natural features as those appreciated by Indigenous Australians that the site was selected in 1815 for free settlers and for the first government military reserve in Wollongong. Occupation of the coastal area known as Five Islands was permitted by Governor Lachlan Macquarie when it was found that the amount of land promised to grantees exceeded the area that was available in the districts of Sydney. Lands must be located at the Five Islands to make up the deficiency.
You had thousands and thousands of convicts being brought to New South Wales from England, from the British Isles, and Wollongong had very much a strong convict element up until the 1840s. We had the first settlers down here in 1816. They would have had convicts helping them on their farms, stockmen, all those sorts of things, doing a lot of work on their farms. And that continued right up until 1840 when transportation to New South Wales ceased. But right up until 1844, we had convicts here in Wollongong working on roadworks, on developing the harbour, the convict road gangs.
The town was virtually isolated except for sea transport. Small sailing vessels brought supplies of flour, salt provisions, tea, sugar, tobacco, rum, clothing desperately needed.
I know that there were accounts of agricultural fairs and so forth that would be held at Market Square. At the end of the day, there would just be people lying all over the place, completely overcome with the effects of intoxication. And I gather that, in the earlier days with the bushrangers and the cedar getters, there was a fair bit of trouble in the very early days between the local settlers and the Aborigines even. It was a lawless place.
In the 1820s and 30s, justice was carried out by military authorities and resident magistrates against convicts and free settlers who transgressed. There was no local law, precedent or legislation. Floggings were handled arbitrarily by the local military court as they saw fit, and for minor offences. 50 lashes could be ordered as punishment, for example. Convict and free settler employees feigning illness or refusing to work, harbouring bushrangers, or for men wearing women's clothes.
Our law had to be a much greater deterrent in people's lives, and the processes whereby this was achieved was that we had extreme penalties in place for crimes that we'd regard today as relatively minor crimes.
For example, there's an instance where a convict farted, and because of that he was given 50 lashes because it was a sign of showing insolence, for example. I can only imagine what it would have been like for the Aboriginal people, for example, to see the way that the Europeans treated their fellow human beings.